Hi, I'm Zito Corte-Real, and I'm the Director of Strength and Conditioning here at Goal Physiotherapy and Sport Performance. And today I am the main character. When I was a child, my biggest dream was definitely to be a professional soccer player. More likely than not, it stemmed from my father and I guess my entire family's influence on how important soccer was in our life, whether it was watching, playing in the backyard, playing in the basement. It started off as something honestly just to do and have fun, but I started creating a passion very early on, and luckily developed a knack and a skill to always have a ball in my foot, and I pretty much wanted to pursue that for the entirety of my life. Say probably one of the biggest lessons I took from my childhood was the respect for others. My parents were huge on making sure no matter where anyone came from, what they did, how they were, you respected them as you wanted to be treated as well. And I think that trait of mine stayed with me for the entirety of my life, simply because if you respect one another, you're always going to start off on a really good page, and you can, I think, learn from each other. But if there's no respect, I feel like there's either taken advantage of, or people just, I don't know. I think respect is too big of a trait for people to have in this life. And I think the more we have of that in this world, the better off everybody's going to be. I think the biggest challenge I had to overcome, talking back to previously when I answered that my dream was to become a pro soccer player, was overcoming injury. Unfortunately, at 15, I suffered an ACL injury, which is ACL tear, a ligament in the knee, that initially ruled out soccer in general for the rest of my life. But worked with a good physical therapy team, and I was lucky to get back on my feet 10 months after my surgery. Fortunately, 6 months later, I ended up tearing the same ligament in the same knee, which therefore just shut down my hopes and dreams of following and pursuing a professional soccer career. And definitely a huge barrier I had to overcome, and tough time in my life. A lot of dark times. Trying to come to terms with understanding that I'll potentially never play the sport I love ever again, and very, very heavy heart that I had to carry along for a couple of years. It wasn't until I understood that maybe there's a different calling in life that I was able to pick myself up out of that hole and start to pursue something else that can benefit my life. If I can go back in time, I would certainly look at myself in the mirror and tell myself that I have to put a lot more work in. I was lucky enough to have the gift of playing soccer, enjoying it so much, and being pretty good at it, that there were times where I should have been putting extra work, and I just slacked off, got lazy, maybe got too much of my ego in my head, and just decided to do bare minimum. Basically, hope that whatever I had could get me to the next level. And knowing what I know now, how much work needs to be put in, no matter how talented you are, I feel like that would have been able to give me the edge when I needed it most. So definitely working harder when I was younger, when I had the ability. So my role model from a young kid was my father. He very respectful person, very big family person, just a big heart, a lot of passion, and it's just very influential at such a very young age. Apart from family things, huge soccer fan, definitely the biggest influence in my soccer career. He didn't push and push to the point where he made me hate the sport, but he knew when to push me when I wasn't maybe doing the best I could, and he knew the right words and the right things to do to really get me in the right state of mind. And just a very, very loving man. He works his butt off 5 a.m. every day since I've known him, and honestly doesn't get home till 6 o'clock at night. And without batting an eye, if I needed a ride to soccer practice an hour away or a tournament, he was the first person to be in the car ready to go. And stuff like that really, really hits you, especially as you get older, start recognizing how hard that is to do. It just makes you respect a little bit more, and beyond grateful and appreciative of his influence on me, and I hope to continue on in his footsteps with that. I realized I wanted to get into the health field, more of the performance and rehab side, very short after my second knee surgery. As I mentioned previously, it was a very tough and dark time, especially trying to pick up all the broken pieces and make something of it. And I thought nothing better than knowing how much I hated the process of rehab and the feeling of not being able to do something, and what kind of impact I potentially could have on someone else's life that's in the same shoes. So diverted all my attention away from trying to excel in the game of soccer and started hitting the books and learning about how the body works and how it should work and what goes where and how moves what. And it not only obviously intrigued, but it fascinated me in how complex the body is. And it helped me understand and make sense as to how easy an injury like I did can actually occur. And just having the knowledge base on how to strengthen things that need to be in the right place, and how far that impact can go. I think that really kind of snowball affected my idea of getting into this business and industry. So I got my bachelor's degree in exercise science with an emphasis on human performance from Southern Connecticut State University. Very well-made program. They had an internship that was necessary and obviously mandatory, that makes you learn everything you learn in school. You have to put it into real life application. And I'd say the learning process initially, I think I would say it's pretty easy, simply from the fact that I was so, at that point, motivated and excited and just willing to do whatever I had to do to accomplish my goal, which was being able to help someone in my shoes. So the workload was obviously there, plenty of memorization, plenty of application. But once I knew soccer was out of the equation, I almost turned to school and studying as my new soccer, which in my realm is if I wanted it, I'm gonna work as hard as I possibly can for it. So it went from juggling a ball to turning pages, which is obviously a transition period, but the passion, the drive, that all overwhelmed it more than not. And I was able to really take a liking to the learning process and appreciating what I was learning and how I'm going to apply it. And obviously, the better I learn and the more I can take in, the less, I guess I should say, nerves I would get about actually applying these methods and modalities to someone who's in a vulnerable state. And I think obviously the lessons I learned and all the education I got was a huge variable of it. But I think having the passion and really, really wanting to help people was really the driving efforts that made me where I am now and as successful as I am. And I'm very true to that. I'm very true to that. I guess once I was in the system of wanting to help people get into the health system, or healthcare, I should say, I pretty much knew that the end of the road would be me in a facility helping people day in, day out. I'd say probably the only bump in the road would be when I actually started applying my methods to myself and feeling way better playing soccer, which is definitely a distraction point where obviously it was my initial goal. So if I started feeling like I had the abilities again like I used to, I started thinking differently. Maybe I took the wrong road. Maybe I should try soccer again. But the more and more I did it, the more I almost started falling in love with the process of learning something different. It's almost leaving soccer on the back burner, as I can do that for fun and when I have time and enjoy with my friends. But as far as getting paid or having a career, definitely didn't doubt that this was the career I wanted to do. I'd say I'm actually very happy where I am in life right now. I get the opportunity to come to work every day and help someone who struggles, whether it's just trying to get stronger, recovering from an injury. I almost have the same feeling of, let's call it, scoring a goal, as far as that's concerned, and how passionate I was for that, as to helping someone who couldn't walk yesterday, they're walking better today, couldn't run yesterday, they're running better today. going to do something yesterday, they're not doing it today. It's truly a process that you can. It's not just about me, or it's obviously about the other person, and that's just something that I definitely did not feel as much in soccer. I feel like I was more about the goals that I wanted to score. I wanted my team to win. Yes, that was definitely the idea, but in this aspect of my life, it's more of a team effort and really almost tending to someone else rather than my own needs. And I feel like that's where it differs in my passion for soccer and my passion for helping someone. So the best advice I give anyone who's trying to get into this field is to work your butt off. Don't be lazy, and honestly, don't be scared. It's a very nerve-wracking field. You're obviously tending to someone who's either hurt or wanting something from you, and the only way you're going to get past that barrier, honestly, is just diving right in. Quick, short story. I remember joining Western Connecticut State University soccer men and women programs, and I helped them with their strength and conditioning. And I remember Joe Mingacho was, kind of talking to me about this leading into, I think, a week out from preseason. And he said, Z, we missed somebody, and we would really like to fill that spot, and I think you'd be a great person. And at first, I looked at him like he was crazy. I went from basically one-on-one sessions, and now I'm responsible for almost 90 athletes. And it was overwhelming, but I was at a time in my life where I almost wanted something new, as scared as I was of it. And I remember showing up 6 a.m. to Immaculate High School's track and had to now warm up an entire soccer team and get them through sessions that were 2, sometimes 3 times a day. And I remember being pretty smart and quick on my feet when I was on the field, but in between sessions, literally going back to my car, like, what the hell am I going to do next? And it was purely just digging into knowledge base that I had and starting to get more comfortable of picking from that toolbox and not being so nervous and applying it. Because in my mind, I knew it would be successful because of how successful I was with my own clients and myself. But just announcing it to a large group of people and hoping to God that we would get results from it. And sure enough, the preseason would, as I would hope, and if not better. And luckily, at the end of our first year, we were crowned champions. So it was very endearing, and it was amazing to be part of that. If I was a superhero and I had to pick a superpower, I would definitely pick the ability to recognize and diagnose injuries without an X-ray, without an MRI, just being able to just look at someone's joint, muscle, and know exactly what the problem is. I guess you can call that Z-ray instead of X-ray, as corny as that sounds. But I mean, it would just make the process that I do on a day-to-day basis much easier. I'd be able to help people pretty much immediately. I guess that'd make for a better world. I don't know. But I definitely want to help as much as I can, so that's the move.